Now, listen. I love the mentality that one man's trash is another man's treasure. So, really, this wouldn't be the worst idea in the world just to take a shot? Because clearly we're going to pick up some type of offensive tackle, most likely off free agency, now that we don't have Trent Brown for the whole entire season. You know, you're not just going to have Amarius Mims on your roster by himself, because if he struggles or something happens, obviously you want to have a backup. So Charles Leno Jr. is now being talked about. He actually recently got cut by the New Orleans Saints out of nowhere. If you don't know who he is, let me kind of give you a background. He has played left tackle majority of his career. He played for Chicago for a bit of time and then played 3 years with Washington. This year he was on the Saints and he got cut. Now that he is cut, apparently there's a couple teams that are going to be fighting for him. Between us and the Chiefs are the two prominent teams that will be fighting for him. When it comes to this guy, should we pick him up? Like that's really the question here. We have the waiver wire priority to go get him if we wanted to. And it's a tough one to talk about because he has played mainly left tackle and no right tackle. Does it mean he can't play right tackle? No, he could definitely play right tackle. But what we saw out of, Jonah Williams was when we moved him over to the right-hand side, the guy was not that good. I mean, he really wasn't. He was a better left tackle than he was a right tackle. Now, right now, I believe he is the right tackle, I want to say, for the Arizona Cardinals. I know he got hurt. I think they have met right. They might have met left. But you're taking a gamble, right, by going after this guy and picking him up. We only have $8.5 million in the cap. So it's not like we have all the money to spend possible. And also, this is going to be a pickup as a backup, right? I don't really see them picking somebody up and then having them start over Amarius Mims, as Amarius Mims was a first-round draft pick. And, the idea was, okay, you sit behind Orlando Brown, you kind of wait, you develop, but if you're going to pick up someone off free agency, you're probably going with Amarius Mims as a starter, and this guy will be kind of an insurance policy if things don't work out well. Again, it's very possible that he ends up becoming the starter, knowing the randomness, I feel like, of the Bengals right now, but let's look at his grades, and let's look at him as a player. So, he clearly is pretty good in pass blocking department. Not really as much in the run blocking department the last 3 years. He's kind of struggled in that. But for a pass blocker, he's actually been pretty good. And he has some pretty good numbers in the pass blocking department for Washington for the last 3 years. And then Chicago for his whole entire career. Kind of going over to the right-hand side here, we can see how many times he has played right tackle, and that is a total of 14 times in his career. He played 9,249 snaps at left tackle, 1 at right guard, and then 14 at right tackle. Again, it's not saying he can't transition to right tackle. There has been a lot of players who I've heard many times say that going from right tackle to left tackle is the hardest transition in the NFL, mainly because the right tackle position, you don't have to be as athletic, and then going to left tackle, you have to be athletic. You have to be able to move around even more and more. That's why, for example, J.C. Latham, who went to the Titans this offseason, he actually comes from Alabama, but he could never play left tackle in the NFL. He is a right tackle and exclusively a right tackle because he's not athletic enough to move around and become a left tackle, right? So he is strictly just a right tackle, which for the Titans it's not a big deal because they already have a guy at left tackle. But yeah, so that's pretty much how the whole system works. For the most part, again, like I said, going from left tackle, right tackle, Jonah could not. So we have a previous history of it not working out. We have Frank Pollock, so we don't have the best, offensive line coach to kind of take over and make sure that this transition period is easy for this guy. Again, we also don't know how much money the Chiefs might offer him a lot more. We do have waiver priority, but I don't know if they're going to be targeting tackle 1000%. Because you also got to keep in mind, they do really like who they have on our roster already. We have some guys on practice squad that they like. They also like the guys, you know, again, on our depth chart already. I'm just going to pull up our depth chart. But I know we have Eric Miller, who they tried out at offensive tackle this offseason. Jackson Kirkland, who they also have as an option to go ahead and rock with if they need to. On the roster already, Cody Ford. They really love using Cody Ford. He's like their fan favorite, it feels like. So yeah, again, like I said, there's options available. They could also go back and get Jackson Carman if they wanted to. So I don't know if the Bengals will pick him up. I'll be honest with you. This right now, I feel like it's a weird scenario. Because we look at last week, right? We go into the Commanders game. We only had 3 tight ends active. Tanner Hudson was hurt, okay? But Tanner McLaughlin, he was a healthy scratch. Trenton Irwin, going into last week, was a healthy scratch. We focused a lot of our, game day numbers and game day players on the defense. We activated a lot more defensive players than we did offensive players. And I think the reason why is because we thought, okay, we have injuries of defensive line, and that's our biggest issue. Obviously, it's weird, things are 2020 now, is that our defense was the biggest issue and our offense wasn't, which is ironic that we activated more players on defense and our offense ended up being the problem. But again, like I said, I don't know if they're going to go after another tackle. They should, but again, they love Cody Ford. And he's been like a fan favorite for them. So I'll say, out of all the options available at tackle in free agency, which it is so bare, it is not good. It is not good at all. Let's go to, if we just go to tackle in general, I'm not even going to go right tackle, left tackle. So let's see this filtered list. Let's go to available options. David Bakhtiari, who has injury issues, he's not going to come back. DJ Humphrey, who played left tackle mainly. It's possible. Keep in mind the money again. DeJuan Brown, no, he's 39 years old. Donovan Smith, I've heard very negative things from Chiefs fans about him. Cameron Flemings, Prince, Billy Turner, the list goes on and on. It's a cesspool. It's an absolute cesspool of options. So, Leno is the best. That's not even a question. That's not even a question. You guys startable caliber right tackle in free agency. It just comes down to the money, and it comes down to him being able to transition to right tackle. And can Frank Pollock do it? Will Frank Pollock surprise me? Probably not, but hey, we'll see what happens.